Hello everybody and welcome to Heart Magic Wisdom. I want to talk about how I think the universe is structured. I think that we are eternal, which means the consciousness that is perceiving things is not just gonna disappear at some point, because if at one time there is something, it makes sense to me that it's not gonna be then forever not anymore. There is only now, which means that if we speak of future and past, that means that it's an action in the now, or a memory in the now, or a projection, like a picture in the mind of a future, but there is always a now, which is always changing. The next thing is that everything is an experiment. I saw a video of Alan Watts where he said that if two chess players already know the result of a game, then they will end it and start a new one. This makes sense to me. So if the game, so to speak, of the universe was so simple that it's clear what's going to happen, then that's not really a game. So it has to be somehow constructed that it's complex enough that it's not clear what's going to happen. What I think is something that is really useful, and pretty much the only useful thing, is to, while you're living, while you're making choices, to find out your preferences and then go in this direction of your preferences and then refine this more and more, which I also think is logical for me as a musician, where I play the piano and then I find the things that sound good to me, and then I evolve this continuously. So it's more and more, so I play more and more of the things that I like and less of the things that I don't like. And the next thing is that it's possible to feel like we are a player that is separate from the world, inside a world that is not us. Or you can also feel like there is only one dream and you are the dreamer. Personally, for me, that switched a while ago. And I feel like the one where you feel like there is one dream and the body, spirit, whatever, soul is equally part of it as the house or the sky or the whatever. I feel like this is the more real interpretation of the data. And the next thing is that because it's referring to the first point that we are eternal, it means that there is no end to the dream. And because in a logic where there is nowhere to arrive, in a logic that has no end, there is nowhere to arrive. And at the same time, I think that something is being built, something is evolving. So it's not just pointless in the sense that, I mean, in one way it is pointless. In another way, I think it's not pointless because something is being created. Yes, okay. So this was basically the first layer of what I think is going on. And the second layer that I think is interesting is obviously how to play the game. So basically we are here, we have a body, we have possible choices, and then now what to do, what is a good strategy. And I think important to me personally was noticing that the thoughts and the emotions at any moment that I have, so I experience the thoughts and experience the emotions, and they always correspond to each other. So if I feel happy, then I have thoughts of how the future is bright and how things can be solved and how there's a solution to problems. And if I feel very negative, then I have thoughts about how everything is not going to work out. So there's always some things that you can control and some things that you cannot control. And one of the, for me, I think, easiest things to control is the state of being, which then in my mind map creates the emotion and the thoughts. So if I control the state of being in a way that I get the positive feelings like love, joy, and peace, then I also have positive thoughts that tell a story of how everything is good and is helping and there is abundance. This is like the base loop that I think we need to integrate, is to control the state as much as possible and as often as possible, so that the thoughts and emotions are positive. And we need to also balance this, obviously, because for me a positive thought is also to get to the truth, to want to know the truth, not look away if something is unpleasant, if it's true. So let's say it can also be that the truth is that something is unfair or like evil or something. And I also think that just generally being aware, trying to not look away from the experience, is also just, when you do this, then this also happens automatically, because you are aware of things and you don't like look away or ignore it. Then by doing this strategy, this also happens. And I think also that this is the way to be aware as much as possible. And the opposite would be to be ignorant, which is trying to escape from our experience. And I think that's not the way. Okay, so the next layer is there is obviously a story happening right now. There's a story of a planet Earth, which has many individuals living on it. And or also maybe we can call them souls, because I think even though they are like experienced as individuals who on this planet, or like from this perspective here, they are created and then they die, I think that they are eternal. These are eternal parts, or like kind of eternal parts. I mean, yeah, so maybe there's details, but let's just say they are eternal parts. I will call them souls. And I think that souls on here, are souls that, I mean, all souls probably, they are learning or exercising their possibility to choose things. And if you have this ability, then the next question is, what are like meaningful choices? And on here there are many people or many souls, they are like in the beginning stages of making choices, like they go with the flow a lot. They are not very like, they don't go inside themselves and look what they feel. They just look outside a lot, and this is obviously a strategy, but I think this is more of like a game, this Earth situation, where it's more about seeing that this leads nowhere. So as long as you do this and you don't, from internal desire, authentic kind of desire to want something else, if you don't have this desire, this authentic desire, then basically this level loops you, reincarnation. You get kind of more or less the same experience again and again until you feel like authentically inside of the soul something arises that says, I think that's not it. I am looking now actively for something else. And then I think that people, when they start looking, they will find that it's about, no matter what happens, to be a positive impact, which means seeking win-wins, creating win-wins, being loving, stuff like this, looking for truth. And if you don't do this, then the system as it's set up, I think right now, will reincarnate you into similar situations. Yeah, a lot of people are just, I think, just looping, and they didn't yet have this authentic desire to look for some sort of control, some sort of way to what else they have influence over, which I think the solution is to, over a long period of time, be, no matter what happens to you, be a source of sending whatever you think is positive into the world. And if you are this, you prove this in a way, then that's a way to progress. Also, when I look at near-death experiences of people, they get experience of something, of a god, of some positive angels. They think positive angels who give them a life review or something like this. Very many people are just very happy to accept the authority, which I also think is a trait that will keep them looping, reincarnating here. If you are looking for something, then I think what you have to look for is the truth. And then you get like this whole complicated picture, and then the way out of it is to claim your authority, which means like nobody can ultimately, there's no other part of the universe that is ultimately more the authority than you are. You are your own authority in a way. And I think the right path to progress is to choose to be win-win oriented and loving. And from different reasoning, I also think there is a way of being very cruel, where there's also a way out, a complicated way, very complicated way, that personally it's still kind of hard for me to fully think through of how you end up there. And yeah. And I think at the next junction, like the next checkpoint, so to speak, of the game is very far out, but I think it will happen. And this is when all the souls have chosen to be positive, win-win oriented, loving forces. And I think it will happen, but I think it will take a long time. And it's not clear how to get there, but I think it's clear that we must get there. And until we get there, there is going to be a lot of complicated games going on. And when we get there, then I think is the first time that we don't know anymore. Like then it's like a fresh start. Then we think again, okay, if we finally got here, what do we do now? And then we need to think about the next game we want to play. I think this is it. Thank you.